Barkeep, a man could die of thirst in this pub. Somebody buy me a pint, please.
Hello everybody and all ships at sea. It is Saturday, June, I think 27th, and I'd like to welcome you to yet another episode of the Empty Pockets podcast with myself, Skip Healy, from beautiful and very, very hot, and going to be even hotter next week, Wohlen, Switzerland. Today we're going to break down a little bit the tune that I played for the tunes from the shop on Thursday. It's a great old session reel called The Rainy Day. So let me, in case you didn't hear it on Facebook, let me give a little run for you here. The Rainy Day. So very, very common tune, great session tune, great A minor tune. A minor is really, for me, right in our power range on the flute. There's an occasional low D, there's an occasional high B, but a lot of it is E to A through the two octaves. So it's a really good, strong range for playing the flute. For me, a big problem with the A minor tunes is I keep mixing them all up all the time because a lot of them are very, very similar. But once you get the hang, I always try to remember the individual little quirks of a tune instead of the whole tune. I mean, for me, the rest of the tune fills itself in when I remember the special couple measures that happen in it. So let's take a look at this tune, The Rainy Day. Again, it's in A minor, so we're going to be playing lots of A's, lots of E's, C naturals, mostly in this one. And again, just to say again, I like to play my C naturals this way. So these holes are from the head joint. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is how I call them. So it's 2, 4, 5, 6. You get a really, really strong, very, very solid C natural that you can actually play rolls on your C natural. If you flip the number 2 finger up and down and tap with the number 3 finger, you get to play a really nice C natural roll. So, The Rainy Day. Here in the one spot, you can also do a nice little vibrato on the C natural if you use this 2, 4, 5, 6 by then using the 4th hole as the vibrato. So, again, it's a very basic A minor. Here's the first part where you start getting this pedal tone, where you keep going down to a low note with high notes going up above it. So not too confusing. I mean, it's very much around a couple of A's in the beginning, and then you're going up from the C to the G, back down again. Then you come to that little pedal tone part where you're going back and forth as demonstrated. So take a look at the second half now. We're going to be up around lots of high A's in this second half. So fairly routine second half, if you will. There's not a whole lot of big surprises in it. So, as far as ornaments go in this tune, there are some long notes, some long G's, a lot of long A's, a lot of notes doubled up together. These are all prime candidates for rolls, playing some little triplets here and there. Going to take a look at doing a slide on the C natural in the second half. So right at the beginning, you can toss in an A roll in there. Quick little snap roll on the G. And you like to try to, when you're doing these pedal tone things, especially when you're going down to a low D, don't be afraid to punch on those Ds a little bit. If you break and it jumps up to the second octave, who cares? You know, we want to try it. You always have to remember, this is dance music. So the more of a heartbeat you can put in your tunes, the more it turns into dance music. You want some hard sounds in there. You want it to sound a little bit like the hard shoe dancers where they're throwing in all those accents all the time. You want to bring some of that into your flute or fiddle or whatever it is you're playing. If your instrument has the ability to play highlighted or more dynamic notes, throw some in there someplace. It's not even that important where they are. Play them, put some pulse into your tune. As they say in Ireland, put some lift into your music. One of the greatest compliments you can get as a player in Ireland is that they say, oh, there's a great lift to his music, her music, their music. Don't want to be too one-sided in any of this stuff. So again, put some pulse in the music. If you're playing some triplets, highlight the triplets a little bit, accent them. When you have these pedal tones, you're going down to a low D or a low E or a G or whatever the note is. Pound those low notes a little bit. And you don't have to blow the craziness out of the flute. Just put a little more emphasis than on the notes around it. That's going to bring it out. I mean, we listen with our ears. Our ears work on vibrations. Our ears pick up these even minor vibrations, minor heaviness that we put on these individual notes. So the more of that you try to work into your tune, the more cough, as they call it sometimes, the better it goes. I remember the first time I was in Ireland, I was playing in a pub, and there was an elderly flute player sitting next to me who'd obviously been smoking cigarettes his whole life because the couple of fingers here are very, very nicotine stained. They're kind of orange. So he'd have the cigarette, take a few puffs, put it down, we'd play a tune, and at the end of the tune, he would start coughing. He'd start coughing like mad. We played another set. Again, really nice, flute playing, real good drive to it, with big coughing, hacking at the end of it. And the fellow playing the accordion next to me gives me the sharp elbow and says, "Great cough in your man's playing." And I said, "Oh God, that sounds horrible," because I thought he meant the coughing. I'd never heard that term before. He said, "What do you mean the man's been playing the flute for 50 years? I said, "Yeah, we might be talking about different things. I mean the for 5 minutes at the end of the tune. What are you talking about?" And the guy just started laughing. He says, "No, I mean the punch he has on the notes, the cough on the notes." Gotcha. New term learned, bar fight avoided. It's all good. Okay? So you see that first little C that we come to there? You can throw in just a couple of quick quavers on that C. And again, that's the advantage to using this 2, 4, 5, 6 on your C naturals, because now you can ornament your C, whereas if you're playing this or just something on the left hand, it's very, very difficult, or if you're going to, you're going to be flopping the whole right hand. It's going to be a lot of movement, probably going to mess something up. Very easy, especially in your slow airs or anything. Start working this fingering in as your C natural. Don't have to. If you're watching for my suggestions, that's my suggestion. Second half of the tune. So again, now you have, at the very first measure of this, and we have a long A there. So you have a couple options. You can just leave it alone. There's nothing ever wrong with just leaving the note alone. It's always right that way. You could play a roll on that. But here, I like to just play a simple triplet, open triplet on that note. I always call that, my name for that, I call it a fall away triplet, because I'm using that triplet as a way to get into the next note. It's not that I'm so much trying to do something on that C, excuse me. See, when you use the triplet that way, you start it on the end of the note instead of, if I play the triplet on the note, if I start it on the end of the note, that's what I call a fall away triplet. I'm starting the triplet, every note has 3 sections. It has the attack, that's the beginning of the note. It has the body, that's the widest part of the note that you hear. And it has the release, where you end that note and go to the next attack. I like to do this fall away triplet instead of happening basically on the attack of the note and rolling the whole note. I play the value of the note, and at the last second, I add this triplet onto the release of the note that then falls away into the next note coming. It gives you a very, very nice flow to your tunes, and it gives you a different thing to do with your 3s and 5s, your triplets and your rolls. Because if you just play rolls all the time, there's nothing different. You want to spice it up. You make your tunes interesting, or your band's arrangements interesting, by the texture of what you're playing, not basically the notes. What kind of notes and how are you using the notes? Is there a strategy going on here, or are you just showing and blowing as you're going, or are you trying to do something, or you're trying to lead into something else? Okay, so that's the difference between using a triplet on a note and playing what I call the fall away triplet. Okay, so as I say, I like to start it off with a triplet instead of a roll on that first to get some momentum going in the second half, because in the second half of this tune, it's very high. There's a lot of A's, there's a couple of B's. It's very up. It's a very up second half of this tune. And then the next one is then where I do a roll after it. And now you've made some texture. You have this fall away triplet from the first high note, and now you're doing a very staccato attack and sound on the next one. So you're going from that's texture. That's making your tune interesting. You're not just doing the same ornament over and over and over. It gets very predictable, not so exciting, and for me, not so much fun to play, doing the same thing over and over and over again. It gets a little bit boring. That's what I like about this traditional music. I mean, you have to respect the music, respect the literature, but you can have some fun with it. Also, you don't have to do it the same way every time. Little G roll it. There's a roll with a single A after it. this second half where we're all up in these high notes for a lot of time, I like to do an open triplet, I like to do hard roll, and then a long note that's just left alone. Now you're really creating some texture in your tune. You're giving different points of interest in your tune. More fun to play, more fun to listen to if you're playing for an audience, or even if you're just playing by yourself, having some fun. Experiment around a little bit with these things, develop your own sound, figure out how you like to play, and then go do that. Like we say, go home and practice. I'll tell you the story about go home and practice next week. But I got to show you the slide on the C. Now here, I'm doing a few things. In ornamentation on the flute, there's about a series of 7 or 8 ornaments that we use. It's really not a lot more than that. There's the cough that I was talking about, there's a single grace note, there's trios, excuse me if I slip into Swiss German once in a while. There's rolls, there's crayons, and there's glissando, or slides. And what you like to do, what I always suggest doing, is learning these different kinds of ornaments, learning what they are individually, and then you start adding them together into one big ornament, so a compound ornament, so to speak. So when we're playing the C, and again, this is the advantage to this C. If you play the C, what I just did on that slide movement, I played the C, I started a little vibrato. Now, vibrato is an ornament. There's 3 kinds of vibrato. There's the throat vibrato. There's the classical vibrato from the diaphragm, ha, 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 when you're playing. And there's finger vibrato that pipes use. And a finger vibrato is done by manipulating the sympathetic tone hole. So when we're playing, it's a little bit easier to show you on a G. So this is a G note. Your G is actually, for flute makers, this is what we're considering the G hole, because here's the fingering. Everything is solid to here. Now this is the first vent. So this is where the G is speaking from. So that's the active hole, okay? The one beneath that is the sympathetic tone hole. So if you manipulate that hole, is how you get your finger vibrato. The faster you do it, the faster the vibrato. The slower you do it, the slower the vibrato. So on the C, this is basically our active tone hole here. Here's the C sharp hole. So we're bringing the C sharp down by closing its sympathetic tone hole. So now, in effect, these 2 open holes are what we're bringing down our C sharp to a C, and that makes this the sympathetic tone hole for when you're using this fingering for your C natural. And then for the slide, I'm then sliding off this hole that I'm using for the C natural. There you go. There's a little look at a great old session tune, The Rainy Day. What to do with your C naturals, how to play vibratos, what they are, the 3 kinds of vibrato that you can use. I hate to throw vibrato myself. A lot of people do it. That's fine. Float your own boat. We're good with everybody. No haters here. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the beginning of next week. And I will see you at that time with another tune from the shop and the explanation of what go home and practice means. Cheers, everybody.